Outside the Box Reviews. It's
Genocide.
because today we were taking a look at the NECA Aliens Wave 5 Xenomorph Warrior figures based on the Dark Horse comic Aliens Genocide. These two figures are a straight up re-release based on a Toys R Us exclusive 2-pack NECA did years ago. I had picked up that 2-pack, but I never reviewed it because straight out of the package, my black Xenomorph's arm broke and I was unable to get a replacement. However, even though I say it's a straight up re-release, I think there may be a slight bit of new tooling with these figures, which I will get to a little later, but these are basic repaints based on your standard Xenomorph from the film Aliens. So it's nothing we haven't already looked at here, but let's take a closer look at both these guys. Now I forgot to mention in the intro that both these figures are sold separately, they're individually carded, so if you don't want the red or you don't want the black, you just pick whatever one you're looking for. And I'm just gonna focus right now on the red version. They're exactly the same figure sculpt wise, so I will go into the black one paint detail in a little bit, but I figure I might as well just start with the red here. It is the Xenomorph sculpt we are very familiar with. We can see as usual we have the nice membranes sculpted and painted there on the side of the mouth, the nice silver teeth, all the great detailing on the alien head here. I actually just recently read an article about the differences between the original big chap alien and the Aliens alien, and it's kind of cool to go back and notice some of the details NECA put in here, like even little circles here on the chin and things like that. And we can see if we open up the mouth, the membranes continue. If you open it too far, the membranes kind of disconnect there. But if you open it within the limits of the mouth itself, it looks really good. And then we have the inner jaws in there, also with silver painted teeth. As with previous releases, that will slide forward. And then we have the very nasty, detailed out alien tongue, which looks very, very cool. Going up the head on the figure, we have all the biomechanical detailing, all the ridges and recesses and weird knobby looking bits. Now, this doesn't exactly mirror the Dark Horse art style. Art style in the comic had some weird flares to it. I think the back of the head kind of curled up a little more, and that was the same for both aliens. But I'm not really going to complain. It's not something I feel like we really need a fresh sculpt for. I feel like that was more of a slight artist interpretation than it is something that we need for continuity's sake or anything like that. We of course have the flexible hoses coming here from the jaw, and they plug in down here on the back with a little headrest piece back here, the spike coming out of the top, and that is a removable piece. It'll pop right off, so that will actually give you a better range of motion with the head and everything. Now, I must warn people, this piece for me actually came loose in the packaging. When I got the figure originally, this had actually fallen off, and if it wasn't for the fact that the one fell off the other alien when I was opening him, I might not have remembered that was supposed to be plugged in there until I threw the packaging away. So fortunately I did remember, I fished it out of the bottom there, but definitely don't want to lose this piece. Going further down the back, we have the big tubes coming out of the alien's spine. These are a soft rubber material. Big ridges up here at the shoulders. We have all the little individual ribs in here, all the great detailing we've come to expect. More detailing going down the arm, all the different lines and panels and everything. We do have the blade here off the side of the arm. Mine is a little warped, which is a little bit of a bummer, but not too bad. It kind of gives it a weird biological look to have it that way. And then coming down to the hand, I'm kind of disappointed they chose to use the alien's hand. Now, I like this hand better just design-wise, but looking at the comic, it looked like they used something more akin to the big chap's hand where it had the two thumbs and the fingers in the middle. And they already have that part created, so I really don't think it would have been too hard to do a hand swap on this mold and give us the big chap hand on here. So that's probably one of the few areas on here where I would have liked a little bit of a different sculpt just to match the comic a little more, and using parts they already have makes it seem like they really could have done that a little more easily. On the waist here we do have the diaper, the soft rubberized piece that will allow greater mobility in the legs, which I always like. I call it the diaper, but it is definitely a feature NECA uses that I really enjoy just for what it gives us. Well, the biomechanical detailing down the legs, the weird alien's feet, which do appear to be accurate to what's in the comic. So the comic did the big chap hands, but they did the alien's feet, which have this extra little thumb piece going out to the side. But it's really nice detail here. And then the one bit of new sculpting or new tooling on here, I don't remember these being on the original Toys R Us pack, but I don't have those anymore. But we do get peg holes at the bottom of his feet, which is a great addition, something the Alien line has been severely missing, and I'm very, very happy to see NECA incorporating a peg hole. It will really help with posing these figures and displaying them. Come around the back, we do have the tail, which looks nice as always. Ends in a sharp little spike there at the tip. As for the color scheme used on these aliens, I don't feel like NECA really did justice to either of them. I think NECA did kind of their own thing rather than using what was necessarily on the page of the comic book. And honestly, I don't know if I like it or not. not. I think the red Xenomorph is probably an improvement. Both figures have a high gloss to them. The red Xenomorph is a deep red. There's some areas where it gets a little bit lighter in shading, but for the most part, it's just a very solid kind of stop sign fire engine red with a black wash over top of it to bring out all the little details underneath. In the comic book, it looked like the Xeno actually used almost an opposite effect to that. It was a dark red, probably a darker red than this, and then a orangey red used to actually highlight, more of what in a figure would translate to a dry brushing technique to bring out the highlights rather than the shadowy areas. And I think in action figure form that may have come off a little too cartoony to really work, so I am kind of glad they went with this darker scheme here. But with the black Xenomorph, what they've done is basically a true black body and then used kind of a brassy brown color to highlight it. It's a much lighter color and not quite as harshly applied as it was on the original brown Xenomorph we got in Wave 1, but the black Xenomorphs in Genocide have a very distinct green tone to them, and I really would have liked it if NECA would have done green highlights rather than this brass brown color. It's not a deal breaker. To me, this is gonna just fit in with my other Xenomorphs from the movie, so I really don't care that it's not particularly Genocide accurate. But if somebody was a big fan of the comics, I can see it being a little disappointing that this doesn't follow the color pattern from the books a little more closely. For articulation, it's pretty standard for these figures. We do have a ball joint here at the neck. It'll go decently down, move a little bit up, then we can remove this spine here in the back and unlock the full range of upward motion, which is pretty good. As I already showed before, the jaw is on a hinge, and then the inner jaw will just slide in and out once you get your hands on it. Shoulders are on a pin socket joint. This is what had broken in my original version, but they seem decent here. It'll go in and out to the side, forward and back. We have a swivel at the upper arm. We have a nice double joint here at the elbow, plus it will actually swivel there as well. We have a rotation and a hinge at the wrist. We have a ball joint here at the waist. Pin socket legs with that diaper will allow it to move forward, back, as well as out to the side, not really hindered too much by the sculpting here. We can also rotate the upper leg. We have a double joint here at the knee. We have a ball joint here at the foot with a good range of motion, as well as a very nice toe hinge that will go both up and down from its standard position. And of course, last but not least, we do have a bendy wire here at the tail, so you could pose the tail around however you feel like you want to. It does kind of run out here at the tip. You can't really pose this bottom section here, but most of the body of the tail is bendable. Now, I will admit, the articulation on this figure feels a little loose, and it is a little bit worrying for me. Particularly in the legs, it feels like it has a lot of potential to tip over once you have them posed on a shelf, that they're loose enough that they're not really going to hold the pose as well as I'd like them to, especially here at the knee joints. In normal figures, I could tighten these up, but with aliens being so skinny, I am always wary to do something like that with them. Just worried that the joint gets stuck the littlest bit. It's so thin, it's going to have more potential to rip and to break and all that stuff. And I think that might be a reason why these joints may be intentionally loose, because, as I said, my first version with very tight joints, the arm ripped off when I tried to move it. So it's a very fine balancing act with Xenos. It's something that is very hard to perfect, and I can understand the struggle here, but it does kind of suck when your joints aren't what you want them to be. And for a comparison, here's our full Skittles Taste the Rainbow lineup of Xenomorph Warriors. We of course have the two Genocide ones here on the right. We have the brown one from the original release, and then I don't have the Series 2 blue Xenomorph, so I'm using the Hicks 2-pack blown apart Xenomorph, but very similar color scheme with the blue. And if you're just looking at it from a movie perspective, the three on the left are really cool, just different shades of the alien warrior, which makes it great for building up your alien army. And then the red Xenomorph is the only one that's really dedicated to being a Genocide figure. And while I thought at the time it was really weird that NECA was basically taking an exclusive 2-pack and breaking it up into 2 separate figures and putting out for general release, I kind of understand it now. It's always good to have army builders for your alien warriors based on the movies. And with the new Genocide Queen coming out shortly, it makes sense to have army builders for your Genocide warriors as well. And it's kind of hard to even try to give a recommend at the end of this review. I've already basically reviewed this figure. It's just the same thing in a different paint job. And I know people could say that about my Predator reviews, but at least those tend to mix up pieces and parts and recombine them in new ways. These are literal straight up repaints. I gotta say, the inclusion of the peg hole in the foot is a major bonus for me. If I was sitting there now thinking about army building aliens and they were all the same price, I might be more inclined to go with this version than previous ones just for that fact alone, but this is one of those things. If you don't already have a Xenomorph from Aliens, here you go. Don't have to worry about the fact the package says Genocide. Just buy the black one. It's basically from Aliens. Don't worry about it. If you're a big fan of the Xenomorph comic, or you're really hyped up about that new Queen coming out this fall, then get the red one, or get a bunch of them. Since you already probably have a bunch of other Xenos, you could army build that crew as well. As for me personally, I'm really not sure what I'm gonna do. I think I have enough standard Xenomorphs that I really don't feel the urge to buy any more of the black ones. I'm sure we'll get other releases of this figure down the line, so I don't really feel like I'm gonna have to worry about, oh, I'll never have another chance to army build this figure to get more for my hive. The red one, I might go out and buy a second one just so that I could have more than one for the Queen coming out. But having just reread the Genocide comic, I am actually much colder on that Queen and even this red Xeno than I had been before rereading the comic. It's just not a comic I consider particularly great, and the Queen especially really doesn't shine in the comic itself. So we'll find out. Do I drop another 20 bucks on another one of these Xenos and drop 100 bucks this fall on the Queen? That's to be determined. But these figures do get a solid recommend, and I'm glad NECA put these back out there. Make sure you check me out on Instagram, username Outside the Box Reviews. Also follow me on Facebook, link below. And until next time, this has been another Outside the Box Reviews. And until next time, game over, man! Game over!